Welcome to the Grab the Map podcast, folks, where we don't just look at it, we grab the map. I'm your host, John Crutchfield. And as you heard, we've got a special guest today, Josh Wilson, my man. He's transforming himself both physically and in his business. Very inspirational guy, very accessible too, man. I've always appreciated the fact that I can reach out to you. You give me those motivational push-alongs, but also just some real tactical strategy for how you're transforming. So cold plunge this morning?
Not yet. I'm getting ready to. After I get off of this, I have a CFO call, and then I will be in the plunge and I'll be in the sauna. So it's on my list today. The issue is when I travel, man, it's like I got to literally find a place that I can go to actually do it. So when I'm out of my routine, I'm not home. I don't have the accessibility to it. So I got to I have to rely on the availability of others, and it is what it is. But I still get it done. So that's all that matters.
I've never done it, but if I do, which I'm leaning into the idea, it will be because of you, man. So you're
That's
definitely
awesome.
impact on people for sure.
That is great, man. I love it. It's been life-changing for me. A lot of people ask me about it. They ask me whether or not they should try it. And my answer is 100% unequivocally yes. It has been a game changer for my life, for my health, and just my mind too, the way I think. Look, you got to understand, like when you're jumping into 150 or 160 degree temperatures in a sauna for 45 minutes, and you go sweat it out, and then you go jump into a 40-degree water for 6 minutes, that is a test of your mind. That's basically telling you can do hard shit. And just exactly like David Goggins said, man. I mean, I live and breathe that stuff, and that has trained my mind. So when I face adversity, I know what I can endure. I know what I've already been through, and it's just helped me progress along the way. So 100% got to do it.
Awesome. Well, I know a lot of people that listen to this podcast are trying to start a business, or they're trying to grow their business. I'm a real estate investor. It's what I do full time. We buy and flip houses, and we also rent them out. So I know a lot of people are trying to get into that, the whole BRRRR strategy, which is something you're very, very familiar with. But I also know that a lot of folks who listen are interested in business, right? And you've been a part of both worlds. Lately, it looks like I see you acquiring businesses, optimizing businesses. So I think I want to kind of go down both alleys today and talk about both of those. I understand we're time restricted here, so let's just jump right into it. Maybe just start off telling us a little bit about your backstory. Telling us what got you into business in the first place and what you're doing now.
Yeah. So backstory. Got in real estate back in 2008, right before the crash. I learned a lot of what not to do. I saw a lot of investors, a lot of friends of mine go bankrupt. And I ended up picking up a lot of those properties, started buying properties in real estate, 2008, 2009, then learned about the BRRRR strategy. A lot of, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat, implemented that strategy very successfully over the past 15 years, built a $25 million real estate portfolio, and have recently sold that off by the last 2 years. I still have a couple of pieces left, and I will hold on to a few, but we're still selling off the final pieces that we have. And I've been all in on M&A, man. I've been all in on mergers and acquisitions. And I started that during COVID. So why M&A? Why business acquisitions? Well, you have to remember during COVID, a lot of you who are real estate investors out there were probably freaking out, wondering if tenants were going to pay rent, right? Well, I was in that same boat, man. I remember sitting in my hot tub during COVID with nothing to do, sitting outside, thinking to myself, oh my goodness, are the tenants going to pay? And the agony of that just killed me. And that's what made me realize that I needed to make a shift. I needed to diversify myself and get away from being 100% all into real estate. And so that's what I did. I bought my first business in, it was May of 2021, right during the middle of COVID. I flew down to Orlando, Florida, locked up this deal, bought it for $350,000. It's a non-emergency medical transport company that I was a driver. So full circle, right? I was an NEMT driver way back when in 2008, when I was trying to acquire real estate. I was using my NEMT income at the time purely just to be able to save down payments so I could buy properties. So I was actually, I was starting a property management company, managing for others. That's how I was living. And then I had a second job where I drove for an EMT, used those funds, saved them up in a separate checking account, and then I would use that to go for down payments and go acquire real estate. And then I started learning how to use the BRRRR method and then grew that portfolio. But bought that back full circle. Now I own an EMT company in Orlando. And so bought that company $350,000. We use very similar strategies that we do in real estate. So like owner financing, just to give your listeners a little tip on what they can use here on how to effectively buy something on a owner finance. A lot of these deals that you buy are not going to be SBA lender friendly or SBA lender lendable. And so how you can find that out is purely by going and looking at their books. If their books are messy, if their books are, let's say for instance, they don't have they have less than 3 years of tax returns, more than likely or not, it's not going to be an SBA lendable business. And so you can use that to your advantage by telling them, hey, I'm not going to be able to get financing on this deal. The only way we're going to make this deal happen is if you hold some paper and I put some money down and we do a deal. And that's exactly what I did with this deal. This guy had less than 2 years of tax returns, less than 2 years of financials, a little bit of a risk, but I took it, bought the company $350,000. I gave him 175 down, financed the rest. And man, the rest is history. I bought that company first year. We barely broke $50,000 in net revenue. Second year, we did about 250. Third year did 400, and this year we're probably on the mark to probably hit 7 figures. So what I'm telling you, the reason why I'm telling you this, Jonathan, is because I think people give up too soon. They throw in the towel. They don't have that instant gratification. They don't have the instant wins, especially now with social media and the way things are operating today. A lot of people, they want to have that like dopamine rush. They're like, man, I want to buy a company and I want to go make 7 figures tomorrow. Just not going to happen. Like you got to go through the trials. You got to go through the tribulations. You got to go through the grind to get to that point. And, sometimes some deals are easier than others and some deals are harder than others. And the good thing is if you do enough deals, they'll all average out in the wash. But you got to be able to get through the ones that are that are tough to be able to see the rainbow at the end. And that's what we did with this company here we bought in Orlando. If I would have given up in that first year and said, man, screw this. I mean, $50,000 is nothing for me. I'm not even interested, remotely close interested in hitting those numbers. I would have never, ever seen a 7-figure payday with this company. And, that's just all about persistence and patience, man. 2 P's that I live by.
Persistence and patience. So, for my real estate investors on the call who haven't checked out yet, if you're listening to this, would you say that your real estate experience is helping you in this business, venture? Or would you say that you could have done this and skipped the real estate altogether?
No, I think everything happens for a reason. And I think that my real estate experience 100% played a huge role because number one, I would have never known about creative financing, right? So very, very high on creative financing. Number two, negotiating, right? That's huge in M&A. You got to be able to negotiate. You got to be able to know, what you're dealing with when it comes to brokers and sellers and like their pain points and their motivational factors. Same thing as real estate. It's the exact same concept. The only difference is instead of you trading a piece of real estate, you're trading an actual business. And so, yes, I agree. If you're out there, if you're a real estate investor and you're thinking about crossing over to the M&A space, I think you're poised for the growth because you have a lot of the experience that a lot of these guys coming fresh out the gate that don't have. You already have it. You built it with real estate and you can apply the same exact principles into M&A.
Yeah. What about like the down payment and stuff? Like, does that come from real estate ventures or, I know you're probably doing some capital raising. I mean, would you say real estate allowed you to leverage into the business?
100%. I raised pretty much on all my deals. I was just here. I'm here in Orlando right now at the hotel, and I'm hanging out with my team. And we have an investor downstairs right now that's investing in our next deal in Chicago. And him and I were just talking. He asked me the same exact question. He said, "Josh, why don't you use your own money?" And I said, if I use my own money, then I'm limited from my potential, right? So if I'm constantly just using my own cash, then that's going to limit me on how many deals that I can do. Let's say, for instance, I use my own cash today for this Chicago acquisition. Now let's say I'm 45 or 50% wiped out in my cash allocation, and I have another deal that comes up tomorrow. what am I going to do? Am I going to go use my cash again and wipe me out 100%? Now I'm going to have zero cash available? No. What I would rather do is keep all my cash there, piece off a little bit of equity or piece off some debt to an investor, pay them a premium or a nice return, and then be able to go and do a limited amount of deals and not have to worry about constantly using my own money. So I raise all the capital for all of our deals, and I would not do it any other way. Going forward, same exact philosophy like I did in real estate. Grew a $25 million portfolio by using the BRRRR method. I used other people's money and I used the bank's money to basically build that portfolio. And best thing I've ever done.
OPM, right? That's what they say. OPM.
OPM. It's not a drug, man. OPM. People, it's crazy. I got a funny story. I met a banker of mine, man, and he told me that, he was like, Josh, you ever use OPM? And like, I looked at him funny. I'm like, opium, like drug? And he's like, no, man, OPM, like other people's money. And then I started thinking to myself, like, after now that I've used OPM, it is a freaking drug. Like, I love OPM, the money one, not the drug. So
that's good. So two things come to mind for me. I appreciate you telling folks about your experience, your prior experience in real estate, and how the prior experience of negotiating, creative deal structuring, raising capital, all those are things that we do every day as real estate investors, helping you scale into mergers and acquisitions. But two questions come to mind. Number one, like, where are you headed with this? How big, how far? Will you buy anywhere?
I'll buy anywhere. Anywhere in the globe. So our holding company is JW Global Enterprises. And the reason why I put global on there and not regional or like statewide is because I will buy anywhere. I'm not afraid of going anywhere. We have now Chicago, or we have deals now in 4 states, over 150 employees. So we are not shy from going anywhere. As long as the deal is good, we will go there. And our philosophy is we would rather overpay for a great deal than underpay for a bad deal. And that can be said for real estate and for M&A. And we just want to make sure we're buying good, solid, long performing companies that we can that they're good companies that we can go and make great. And that's a simple philosophy. It's all we're trying to do. We're not trying to go and be a Bitcoin rock star and go to the moon and try to hit the lottery. We just want to get stable, solid returns with good money printing machines in companies so that we can enjoy the cash flow to continue to reinvest. And that's really it, man. It's not rocket science.
So I imagine some folks maybe from your real estate team have joined you in doing this, or did you have to build out a whole nother team to help you manage these mergers and acquisitions?
So we've had some, no, actually, no, I pretty much have started a whole new team. So,
okay.
From our C-suite level, everything. So we have a holding company at JW Global, and that houses our C-suite. We have a CEO, CFO, and COO. They manage all of the individual entities. So we have 6 individual entities now that are all run on a day-to-day basis by our GMs. Our C-suite level manages all the GMs, and I am purely now operating from a deals and acquisition standpoint. That's pretty much what I do now, day in and day out. I'm, making sure that, everybody sees the vision of where we're going. What is our vision, right? Trying to figure out where that is. Our vision is 10 companies, 10 million. How did I get to that? Look, I went to a workshop last summer, and it was a big meditation workshop and really get crystal clear on what I wanted. And it all starts with the 3 C's: clarity, commitment, and certainty. Those are the 3 C's that I live by every single day. You got to get crystal clear on exactly what you want. And I was crystal clear that weekend when I sat there. I said, I envisioned 10 companies, 10 million in EBITDA. That is what I wanted, and that is my goal. Now I'm making a commitment to get there. How am I making that commitment? Because I hired top level people. I hired a C-suite so that they can manage the companies while I can go out and grow the companies and instill the vision in our team. And then number 3 is certainty, right? You got to flood yourself with certainty every single day that what you're doing is the right thing. You know what you're doing, right? You tell yourself all these stories in your head. A lot of times you wake up and you think about all the wrong things that can go wrong, all the bad things that can happen throughout the day. I flip that switch. I get excited. I get motivated about all the good things that are going to happen today. Like, we're going to buy another deal. I'm meeting with another investor today. We're going to raise more capital. We know what we're doing. We've done this before. We're not screw ups. We got this. We got this blueprint down. We know what we're doing. We're executing our playbook. And so you almost have to really talk yourself up, because when you're in this business, man, it is cutthroat. It is hard stuff, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And, I just flood myself with certainty and live by the 3 C's: clarity, commitment, certainty. And that's changed my life.
That's great. That's great. So are you getting mentoring from somewhere? I mean, are you learning this from somewhere?
Yeah, so I had a guy who's actually a great friend of mine now, who helped me out early on. Kyle Mallion, a lot of people may know him. He's become a brother now to me, and him and I have I bought a few companies now under his mentorship and friendship. And if it weren't for him, I would have never got into this acquisition space at all. He was the one. I saw a post from him early on during COVID when I was sitting there plowing through the feed, and he came in and he showed me how to basically take like $150,000 and turn it into, over multi 6 figures of revenue each year. And man, if it weren't from him, I would, look, real estate, a lot of investors on here, we're all equity rich investors and cash poor, right? I mean, that's just the name of the game. It's how it is.
All the time.
Yeah. So I think there's a great balance between, having M&A stuff, business acquisitions, and buying your real estate. Buy your use your business acquisitions to acquire the cash flow, and then buy the real estate to store the cash and help you with your tax benefits. And that's what we've been doing.
Awesome. So if I wanted to get into this, we'll wrap up here, but if I wanted to get into this, where might I start looking for some of these businesses?
Yeah, look, man, the first place that I bought my first company is go to bizbuysell.com. That is like the MLS of business acquisitions. There are thousands of deals that get posted there probably on a weekly basis. One thing I'll tell you is, buying a small deal, like give me an example. Like now, I would never go out and acquire a deal like that's under 7 figures now, just because it's not worth my time. And so when you're out acquiring a deal, you want to make sure that deal is turning off at least $500,000 a year of net revenue, because honestly, anything less than that is going to be a headache. And you want to make sure that you're buying a stable, full management team in place where you can come in as the leader and operate that business. I will also say this, Jonathan, and I think this is very important, is that most people, this is not the guru talk, because you hear the gurus and they say, man, everybody go out and buy a business, be successful, be a 7-figure earner, live life on the beach, blah, 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 blah. Total bullshit. You have to be a leader. You have to be able to lead an organization in this space. This is not for somebody to walk in to get passive income or be an absentee owner. The only reason why I am not in the weeds every day is because I bought multiple companies, and now I'm operating from almost a founder standpoint. But I wasn't doing that on my first business. That did not happen overnight. It took 6, 7 businesses to get to this point, and then invest in a team that's able to handle and run those operations. But I will tell you that you got to be able to lead. Even though I'm not in the day-to-day, some of the GMs don't really know who I am. That doesn't mean that I'm not leading. I'm still leading our organization from a C-suite level, passing that vision down to them, and then they're executing and implementing. If I'm not a leader, if I'm not taking care of my health, if I'm not taking care of my mindset, if I'm not motivating, if I'm not leading, then these folks are not going to be able to execute and operate at the highest efficiency that we've been able to do. So I will tell you this: make sure you get into this space. You can't be afraid of leading your team. You have to be able to be a leader. Because I think that's one thing that gets misconstrued. A lot of people want to get in this space, but I'm telling you, you'll be a rude awakening when you have to go and stand in front of a crowd of 150 people when shit's hitting the fan, and you got to motivate them to keep going.
Yeah, I see that in you, man. I see your leadership. You talked about starting the day with the cold plunge, getting it in even when you're on the road and traveling. So I totally get it. Yep. Just know, man, a lot of people are watching you and inspired by you. Some folks might want to reach out to you after this. They might want to do a deal with you. So how can they reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, man, look, we are looking for partners. So if anybody's watching this and you have a deal, or you're like, hey man, I want to do a deal with you, The reason why we're looking for partners is because we are growing our enterprise company, our holding company, and we want to bring on more people under that umbrella. Why is that important? It's important because if you go to the regular marketplace, you would get a earnings multiple or a sale multiple of anywhere between 2 and 3x of the cash flow. If you come under our umbrella with all of our companies and the foundation and the back office and the C-suite that we have available, we are very attractive to be acquired by a PE company down the road. Why do we want to get to 10 million? Because at 10 million, that's the sweet spot. That's where we feel like we can start getting generous offers from private equity to be able to sell off our holding company and do it all over again. What does that mean for you as an operator, right? And you have a deal and you want to come to me. Well, what's going to happen is that instead of you going to the marketplace and selling that deal for 2 and 3x multiple, come sell it to me. I'll buy it from you at a 2 and 3x, give you some equity, and then you can cash out down the road at a 10 to maybe 8 to 10x multiple, because we have a larger company now with larger EBITDA that we can go and sell off to private equity, and you can get a higher return if you come under our umbrella, under our wing. So if you got a deal out there, you're looking at possibly selling, bring it my way. Or if you know someone that's possibly selling, let's try to see if we can make something work. We have the balance sheet, we have the net worth, we have the financials, we have the cash flow, we have all that, we have the experience. We're just looking for operators, for people that want to actually go out and run a business under our leadership and under our command, and we can help you. We can help you achieve great wealth.
Awesome. So I heard some criteria: 7 figures minimum, $500,000 net, management in place. But also I want to make sure that people know how to reach you. I usually get you at Josh Wilson on Facebook.
Yep.
Is there a better way to reach you?
Yeah, no, man. I'm on all the channels. I'm on all the IG at The Real Josh Wilson, and I think it's Joshua Wilson on Facebook. So just look up for me. I'm on TikTok, same thing, The Real Josh Wilson, and just shoot me a DM, and I'll usually respond back within the same day.
He really does. He really does. All right, folks, thank y'all for listening. If you heard this somewhere where you listen to podcasts, please don't forget to leave a review. And if you didn't know, you can find us on YouTube. Subscribers growing up pretty good over there. Check us out on YouTube at Grab the Map. Okay, I'd love to meet you out there, comment out there. Joshua, thanks again, man, for jumping on this podcast, and go find that cold plunge.
That's it, man. Thank you so much, man. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, y'all, don't just look at it. Grab the map.